What a wild week for the stock market, guys. The S&P 500 went up, the Nasdaq went up over 6%, the USA-China trade truce has finally solidified. This is Market Linked, your weekend review, your Saturday stock market recap for May 11th to May 17th. I'm going to be your host, telling you the biggest moves this week, all under 5 minutes. Let's get right into it, guys. Now, guys, big news on May 12th. The markets exploded as USA and China finally agreed on a 90-day tariff freeze. Now, this put a lot of people at ease because a lot of people were worried about trade fears. Now, this freeze does have a little bit of tariffs, not quite the 100% tariff. Luckily, a lot smaller. Now, because of this, the Dow Jones jumped up by 1,200 points. The S&P 500 hit the highest point that it has since March, and the Nasdaq has also climbed. Tech giants like Amazon and a lot of e-commerce businesses, and even Tesla, grew because of this news, and they grew rapidly. Now, Tesla's market cap has again jumped over $1 trillion, which is fantastic. And everybody is very excited about this news. Now, just remember, this is only a 90-day ceasefire, which means tariffs can come into effect again. However, from the looks of it, it looks like they'll have a broader outlook on an actual tariff plan within the 90 days. He's done that for other countries. Donald Trump has a tendency to do this. So I would be very hopeful that we can finally come to a resolution. And everybody who has been buying for the last few months, congratulations. I'm pretty sure you looked at your stock market portfolio and you have got a pretty substantial gain. Now, guys, on to the inflation news. In the midweek, the inflation numbers got presented, and on May 13th, the consumer price index just rose by 0.2%, and the producer price index dropped by 0.5%. That's the biggest drop since 2022, which, guess what, is awesome. The core inflation is still kind of at the exact same rate, and because of this, Jerome Powell did not cut interest rates, which sucks. However, he put the hopes that it could come in the near future if everything is looking right, or if there's a drastic change in the environment. However, sorry to cut the bad news, because of all the trade deals and everything going in effect, and even Walmart's earnings going pretty well, I don't think any federal rate cuts are going to happen anytime soon, because Jerome Powell is kind of a weighted type of fella. So he wants to make sure that there is an issue and a reason to cut the interest rates before actually cutting them, which is not what your boy Donald Trump is a fan of. But we will see exactly how all this goes. I don't think anything is off the table. BlackRock is still predicting that a recession type effects will still happen. But I stand hopeful, as it looks like a lot of deals are actually being presented on the table. Now, guys, I'm going to give you some very hopeful news. Earnings season is finally winding down, and 78% of S&P 500 companies, guess what, beat earnings, and that drove 13% growth in Q1 earnings. Now, remember last week I told you May 15 was going to be a very special day? Guess why? Walmart presented earnings, and guess what? Despite the tariff issues, they had very strong growings, and they had very strong earnings. Now, like I mentioned last week, I don't think this would showcase the true effects of tariffs or any issues such as that, because a lot of people would stock up on supplies that they were looking for before they went up in price. So true effects of what's going to happen is still yet to come. However, since China and the USA have come to a 90-day ceasefire on these tariffs, I think there is a good hopefulness that everything is going to go well. Also, guess what? Bitcoin broke 104,000 USD, which is fantastic, which means if you hold any Bitcoin in your portfolio, you're probably looking pretty happy today. Now, on to the last piece of news for these earnings. Guess what? Another company has now successfully joined the S&P 500, and that is Coinbase, which is the first crypto actual company that is in the S&P 500 now. And MicroStrategies, I know a lot of people like that company as well. And although they hold a lot of Bitcoin, they're not a crypto company. Otherwise, Coinbase is. And now Coinbase is a part of the gang. Now, guys, that is it for today's recap on the stock market. It was a fantastic stock market with a lot of growth. And everybody who is holding good indexes, I'm sure, is very happy. Now, will these continue? Who knows? I am very hopeful in the near future in the USA stock market, and I hope you are as well. I'll see you here next week to recap everything all over again. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and bye-bye.